Good afternoon and welcome to our next presentation here at Erik Penser Bank. I'm standing here with Erik Strömstedt, who is the CEO of Talkpool, and he will take us through the company, and we are looking forward to a very interesting presentation. Welcome, Erik.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I prefer to take this in English today because we have investors all around the world, so I think for the understanding it's better than Swedish. So, I'm the CEO of Talkpool, and I'm going to present the company to you briefly. We have 15 minutes to go through the company and our future plans. So, let's start. So, you can... Oh, it's up to me. So, a little bit about the structure. First, a short introduction, then I'm going to comment on the Q2 report that was published this week. Something about the targets for 2025 and a little bit about the strategy and the M&A activities around that. So, to catch up a little bit for you that are not so familiar with Talkpool, the company was founded in 2000. So it's 21 years ago now, so we've been around for a while. It was founded as a telecom services company at that time. Now we're listed at Nasdaq First North in Stockholm and been so since May 2016. We have around 1,500 staff today in 15 countries. We have daughter companies in 10 of them, of those companies in Europe, Middle East, Africa and Americas. Last year we made 21 million euro revenue, and we are expecting a revenue around 25 million this year. That's euro million. What is Talkpool doing then? Yeah, as I said, we're basically a telecom services company from the beginning. Nowadays we're focused on sustainable solutions for both IoT and for telecommunication. We are specialized in digitizing buildings and network infrastructure. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that and what that means. We have a Swiss headquarters where I'm based myself, and we have an IoT R&D center in Sweden. We're present on all continents, basically. As you can see here, the light blue marked countries are our home markets, markets where we are active, have been active. Where you see a yellow name on the country, we have an existing daughter company, so it's around 10 for the time being. As you can see, concentration to Europe, Americas, and earlier we were quite present in Africa. Nowadays we only have one daughter company left in Africa. And then we have a hub in Pakistan and the Middle East, covering that region as well. We have two business units today. Firstly, the smart networks, which is developed out of the telecom network services business area. We're going to make around 20 million euro revenue this year. We have deep skills in everything around those base stations and telecom equipment that you can see on the small picture here. That's a typical radio base station site with all kinds of equipment, radio equipment and also power supply equipment, and we are specialized in all those areas. And we cover everything from planning to operational maintenance of those networks. This market is going to grow substantially as well. You know about 5G just being rolled out in many countries. It only started in many regions. And a quite unexpected phenomena as well is COVID that came up 1.5 years ago and also pushing the requirement for more broadband. We have focused nowadays on a few niche areas in network services, less big rollout projects and more niche areas. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. And we're also here focusing on digitization. That is, we're offering services based on basically IoT solutions for surveillance of those base stations and the networks. And we're going to grow mainly through organic growth in this business area. The next one is what we call smart buildings, IoT. Here we're going to make 5 million revenues this year, which is a big leap from last year, thanks to an acquisition of a company called Home Solutions. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that as well. In this area, we don't only do services, we actually have our own hardware and software, and we package our solutions and services around those hardwares and softwares. Focuses on sustainable and healthy technology, as I said. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that later. We also sell our equipment to integrators that put together their own solutions. And in this area, we're going to grow mainly through acquisitions. Just a small overview of our customers in the IoT area. As you see, a lot of real estate companies, many of them Swedish. And in most of those cases, we are doing sub-metering of water or electricity, optimizing air quality, energy use, ventilation, and what have you. So that's typically smart buildings applications. We also have some other areas, as you can see at the bottom, but it's a lot of focus on smart buildings now. Just a quick look at network services. As you can see, most of the well-known companies within telecom is present here. Not all operators, but most of the equipment vendors. And for example, Deutsche Telekom and Digicel are important operators that are customers of ours. Ericsson has been a very important customer throughout the years as well. And that's also why we have such a spread in many countries that we follow Ericsson as their partner out in the world. We have gone through an efficiency program now the last 2 years, slimline the cost. We had a quite aggressive acquisition strategy when we listed on Nasdaq First North. So we bought 3 companies, and this was connected with a lot of cost, of course, and effort. So from 2018-19, we've been applying this efficiency program, and we managed to cut the cost with 20-30% since then. And we also do positive net earnings and have a positive cash flow now, thanks to that. We have also discontinued some markets. As I said, many African markets have been closed or sold. And we're also focusing completely on smart buildings now, and also trying to basically transform Talkpool into more of a smart buildings sustainable company than a pure telecom company. We're also preparing for the next step, and that is to scale the company, not just cut costs. Now we need to grow again. So a lot of sales focus, of course, and looking for strategic IoT companies to acquire. One important acquisition recently was Home Solutions here in Sweden. I'll come back to that. And some special activities are that we are going to replace some of the more expensive loans and financing structures with less expensive bonds, like the green bond in Germany that we're looking into. We're also looking into maybe selling off the Middle East business. It's been a reasonably good investment, but we think that money can do more. We can add more value by investing in other regions. And the Swedish entity is also something we're looking closer to spin off eventually, as we think this could release some of the hidden values here. Here, just a quick look at the development. As I told you before, the profit went down from 17 to the end of 19, where we also did some write-offs of companies that we closed in Africa. Since then, you see positive development. There is a bit of a hick in Q1 where we bought Home Solutions. But apart from that, you see a clear positive trend. And now in Q2, we're positive, as you see, on both earnings. Just a brief look at the Home Solutions acquisition. It's a company called Home Solutions. The mother company is called Nordic PropTech. It's a company very focused on measuring power and water in family buildings or in housings. They have 50,000 installed flats, and they have long-term relation with HSB in Sweden, and they also have a lot of this is monthly measuring and monthly invoicing of power and water consumption, which also creates an awareness about the consumption for the tenants, and this also creates a behavior where people save on power and water. So this is a way of saving money, but also saving the environment. Talkpool IoT, on the other hand, with our own hardware and software, as I said, focused on, as you see here, carbon dioxide, temperature, humidity measures, leakage, and so on and so forth. All this together, put together, makes the new company that we're going to call, probably not Homepool, but that's a work name for the time being, with synergies from both those companies, a strong sales organization, with own equipment, and a very good big footprint in Sweden, and I would say one of 3 biggest IMD players in the market. We're going to make this company together. We're going to make around 5 million euro this year, as I said, and we're looking at further consolidations and a possible spin-off of this company then. A few comments on Q2. It's out already since Wednesday. We had a top-line growth of almost 28%, very strong EBITDA development, and a small net profit of 20,000 euro. 22% out of that, out of the revenue, is IoT, which is a big leap since before, thanks to Home Solutions, of course, but also organic growth. We were introduced at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange as well since June, so the share is traded there as well now, which improves the liquidity. I think I'm not going to comment much on the other ones. All this is on our homepage, so you can read more about the quarterly report there. Just quick look at the numbers. Quite a big increase compared to last year, as you see. A gross margin that is slightly below what we expected, but on the other hand, an EBITDA that is clearly better than expected, and a small net profit, which is symbolically very important for us. Some good news lately as well was the big order in Pakistan and in Germany, and all this made the share price leap yesterday, at least. We'll see where it goes today. So that's very positive. Look at the future. We released the new strategy and our targets for 2025. So it's 48 million euros in 2025, with an EBITDA margin of 11 to 14%. As I said, increased sales focus. We think Europe will make more of 50% out of that, and we're going to improve the profit margins thanks to the new smart solutions in both networks and buildings. Buildings are going to grow fast, but we think it's going to be around 50-50 in 2025 between the 2 areas. And a lot of focus, as I said, on air, water, and energy measurement. This is just quickly a symbol of how we're growing from being a network company at the bottom with our own IoT products, where we are now in the middle, where we digitize buildings and telecom sites based on our own solutions. And eventually, we're going to offer those solutions as a service. So that's the ultimate target in 2025 to 2030. And the profit margins are expected to improve throughout this path then. Well, as I said, within IoT, we're planning to look for more companies similar to Home Solutions or small niche companies that fit well into our profile of air, water, and energy measurements. Also in other countries, of course, not only in Sweden. So I think that's it. That was a speedy one, but I think we have some questions coming up.
Yes, all right. Thank you for a very interesting presentation.
Yep, thank you.
I think we could start off by looking at the particular markets. If we look at Germany, for example, that is a strong contributor to your margin with a high profitability. How do you manage to maintain such high margins in that area?
We came into niche area. As I said before, we're focused on niche areas in network services, and in Germany we're doing fiber network planning for Deutsche Telekom primarily, and for that you need a unique competence and a unique tool that you need to understand and you need to manage. So we've came into this very narrow niche, and also now Germany is focusing a lot of expanding their fiber networks throughout the country. So there's a lot of demand, of course, for planning resources, and this is very small niche competence area where we can still charge reasonably good prices. Yes. That's the reason.
And you also mentioned that you will try to filter out profitable projects.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a bit on what would be a typical project within the network services segment in terms of contract length, perhaps geographical focus?
Yeah, I mean, we see that at the beginning of the process and planning phase, and at the end, basically operational maintenance of the existing networks. That's where we're trying to focus. Before we were very much in the middle, I would say, installing the networks, which is a volume game, big volumes, price pressure, and of course a lot of risk and effort to be in that zone. So now we're focusing more on the planning and the optimization and the maintenance of the networks at the end. And also we're picking, of course, certain technologies, and the company we bought in Holland is, for example, called Camouflage. We're very specialized niche covering antennas on old buildings, churches, and what have you, where the antennas are not supposed to be seen. And that's also a very specialized area within network services, basically. Yeah.
All right. And you also mentioned the contract in Germany and the one in Pakistan. Could you elaborate a bit on the procurement process and how did you win these contracts in greater detail?
I mean, once we get into a big account like Deutsche Telekom, and we position ourselves, and yeah, we do a good job. Basically, we mostly get the chance to grow and get more projects from that certain customer. And now we started in Eastern Germany with Deutsche Telekom. They're divided into a lot of small regions. Now we have access to the procurement in all those regions throughout the country, including the west and the south. So now we have a much bigger footprint, and we have a relation with procurement, and we're also listed and certified in Deutsche Telekom, for example, as one of their preferred providers, as you call it. Yeah.
All right. And also further, if we look at the geographical focus, you mentioned that you try to move away from less profitable geographical markets.
Yep.
If you put this in the context of your 2025 vision, how do you envision your geographical divide in 2025?
Yeah, I would say we're going back to a European-centric focus. We already have 4 or 5 companies in Europe. We're backing out of Africa, except for one bigger hub in Tanzania, where we're still there, and which is supporting the whole Eastern African region. And we may have a small hub left in the Middle East, but apart from that, I think 70%-ish will be in Europe. I would say 20% is in Americas, which includes North America and the Caribbean, and the rest would be possibly Middle East and Africa.
All right. And while we're on the 2025 vision, could you elaborate a bit on how much of the revenue that is generated in 2025 is coming from smart buildings?
We've said that's the fast-growing area. Depends a little bit on what we have managed to acquire. I would say around 50-50, maybe a little bit less smart buildings still. But if we bump into a good acquisition target, that may be more. But around 50-50.
All right.
In that, in 2025.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for an interesting presentation and some question sessions. So that was very useful. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks everyone.